What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer for today's show, Logan Landers, and join me here this afternoon to talk about the impressive Wolverine Mason Graham defensive tackle is the one and only my guy, Brian LaBelle. Brian, how you doing this afternoon, man? And let's talk about big Mason Graham coming out of Michigan. What do you like about him?
He's a massive human being.
Yeah.
As far as the defensive tackle is concerned, I know everyone wants Aaron Donald now. The shorter, the more
Mm-hmm.
compact. Like, hey, he's speedy, he's strong as an ox. But I think Graham embodies that. But he's 6'3", 320, and watching him play, he plays a lot smaller, but not in a bad way because he's so fast. His get off is amazing, and his ability to get around interior offensive linemen it jumps out at you, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, he's a guy who, like I said, 6'3", 320, definitely stands out. And I mean, what a rise he's had, right? A guy who was a 3-star recruit going into Michigan. I mean, like, not a whole lot of hype around that. Obviously, good recruit, but not a 5-star, right? You think of Michigan, you think the 4 or 5 stars. 3 stars kind of go under the radar, kind of. All right, yeah, we'll bring you on, see what you can do. But I mean, this is a guy who is just, like I said, very physical. I think that has to do with his background in wrestling. Won 2 high
Yeah.
school championships there at Trinity League. So that lets you know he's not afraid of contact, which is why he's right there, defensive tackle, kind of that gritty position. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna hit guys. And man, what a impressive just tenure he had with Michigan. I mean, when you just kind of look at his numbers coming out of Anaheim, California, as well, I mean, he was impressive all 3 years. In his last season here, the most recent one we'll look at, career high in tackles with 46. Had a pass defended every single year as well. But he also upped his sack production every year as well. Went from 2.5 to 3 to 3.5 this year. So you see he's getting better and better. There's not major jumps, but it's still he's improving. He's understanding the game more and more. And obviously, we know how good Michigan did and it has done in recent years. I know this year was a bit of a rough one, but hey, you still beat Ohio State, and I know that they didn't get a championship, but they'll take that in a year. I know that much, and I mean Mason was a big factor in that. But what are some factors? What are some main attributes you like about his play?
He's kind of that prototypical bully up front on the defensive line. He's just I would not want him to line up directly in front of me if I'm a center, especially if I'm in pass pro, because I know I'm gonna have to snap the ball and I'm gonna have to get back up. And he's relentless. He's got a phenomenal motor for a guy his size. He doesn't really take many plays off. He's always out, around the football. He's got a great nose for the football. One thing I love with his game is he can get pressure up the middle and in the interior, and quarterbacks get really uncomfortable with that because you got to roll out, you got to start moving, you start getting happy feet. Because as a QB, I want to take my drop, step up in the pocket, go through my reads, you know what I mean, make the throw, and he eliminates a lot of that. And he's big enough to where he can get his hand up and bat down passes. And he's for a smaller quarterback. Maybe I know the draft class this year. I think Shador's smaller. I think you have like guys like Kyler Murray. You have a breed of smaller quarterbacks you have in the league now that would have trouble seeing over this guy, and he can wreak havoc. I mean, he blocked a field goal. I mean, he does everything really
Yeah.
well. I mean, like he did everything they asked of him. Like you say, he's a 3-star, a wrestling background. Like, hey, go play special teams. Hey, go stop the run. Hey, go get after the quarterback. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, I mean, when you look at Michigan, you got to look at that 2023 season also and just how impressive. Everyone looks at the defense, and a lot of guys already left and got drafted already, but he won the MVP award in the Rose Bowl against Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, people kind of, forget about that, but he had 4 tackles in a good game against the Crimson Tide. And, of course, we know that they went on to beat Washington 34-14. I mean, like I said, a lot of people was a little bit surprised that if he came back, okay, where would he go? Where would he project to be? Would it be a first-round talent? But I mean, man, he looked great. He was a finalist for the Bronco Nagurski Award as well for one of the best defensive players. Also for the Outland Trophy, and also, I mean, he was just a unanimous All-American as well. Just an impressive individual who, I mean, really just turned it on year after year. Was All-American twice, Rose Bowl MVP, national championship, and also 3-0 against rival teams in Ohio State and Michigan. You got to throw that one in there, of course. But throughout his tenure, Brian, 39 total games. He didn't miss much action at all. 27 starts, because people forget he wasn't a starter. He had to work. He had 108 career tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 9 sacks. That's a great career.
Yeah.
That is a tremendous career. And I think that, where he goes in the draft, I mean, whoever he may go to, they're going to get a nice defensive piece. If you get him in the right scheme, you're going to get a physical guy, someone who's got a high motor, someone who is going to work hard, obviously. And if you get him in the right fit, I think that he's going to shine.
He's an anchor point for your defense. He's consistent. He's a guy to where that if I'm a linebacker, I love playing behind him because I know he's going to fill his gap. I know it's going to take at least one, probably two guys to move him aside, and then I have the ability to scrape. I have the ability to hit the hole. I mean, he was doing it at the highest level, too. He's doing it in the playoff against Alabama. He's doing it against Ohio State. I mean, he's doing it against top talent in the sport. So he's fully prepared for what's going to come next at the NFL level. There's not a lot of buzz around the tackles as far as this draft, which is kind of interesting because there are some really good ones. I mean, obviously, I don't know if I would have him as my top guy, but he's probably everybody has him whose job is to break these guys down. He's a top 2 or 3 guy minimum at the position. Mm-hmm. I know it's not the sexy pick on the defensive end. You're like, oh, well, these defensive ends are getting 9-10 sacks a year. And I'm like, well, that's not his job. That's not what he does. His job is to clog the middle and to make life easier for every defensive person around him. And I guarantee you, everybody who played with at Michigan would say, yeah, that guy right there, Mason Graham in the middle, made my life easier. And he's the reason why I'm playing on Sundays too, or he's a big reason why we won a national championship. And beat Ohio State 3 years in a row.
I mean, he's got all the raw tools. I think the one thing that might set him back just a smidge is just the lack of getting to the quarterback a little bit more because, a lot of teams are going to look at that. But also, let's not forget, he's a defensive tackle. He's not a defensive edge. So he is going to have to work harder to get to the quarterback. But I think that could be the only knock that people would give him, that scouts would give him. But you can work on a pass rushing move. But this guy is a good run stuffer in the middle there. And I think that his game's going to translate really well in the NFL. So I'm excited to see wherever Mason Graham will go. But what a story he had, right? Going from, middle of the road kind of recruit to a guy who didn't see a whole lot of starts in his first year to becoming a multi-time All-Pro or All-American and winning a national championship, beating his rivals along the way. So he had a great career at Michigan, and we'll see where he goes here in the NFL draft in 2025. Well, for Brian LaBelle, I appreciate you very much, man, for coming on the show, talking about this NFL draft prospect. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. Facebook and YouTube. We go live every single week. Also, go and download our podcast as well. You can find on any major podcast streaming networks like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else along those lines that you enjoy listening to your shows. You can find us there each and every single week. That is thanks to the Believe Podcast Network. So let's get for Brian LaBelle. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Until next time, guys, we'll see you all again on